Hey, we meet again. And yep, I've got a few more clutter confessions to share. Turns out I have an ongoing relationship with baskets, drawers, and things I swear I'll deal with later. So here we go. You ever look around your house and think, how did it all get this loud? Not actual noise, just stuff, corners full of things whispering, deal with me, baskets making eye contact, and that one drawer straight up judging you. I used to think I just needed to be more disciplined. Turns out, I just needed less nonsense. The real problem wasn't the clutter, it was the feeling that I was constantly behind on life. Like no matter how many lists I made or how much I tidied, I was still drowning in invisible to-dos. It wasn't just the mess. It was the pressure, the decisions, the shoulds. So today, let's laugh a little, sigh a little, and walk through a few things I let go of with zero regret. No dramatic before and afters. Just a few honest goodbyes that made space for a calmer, kinder home. If you've ever felt like your stuff is secretly running the show, this one's for you. Let's jump into the first habit, the one that saved my mornings and my sanity. You know that one counter in the kitchen? The one that somehow attracts keys, receipts, half a granola bar, and yesterday's coffee mug. Yeah, mine used to look like a thrift store table, just sadder. I used to think if I can just clean the whole kitchen every day, I'll finally feel on top of things. Spoiler, I never cleaned the whole kitchen, and I never felt on top of anything. Then I tried something absurdly small. I cleared one little square of counter, just the part where I make my coffee. No full wipe down, no disinfecting spree, just that one little square. And weirdly, it worked. The next morning, that clear space felt like a fresh start. It told my brain, hey, you've got one thing handled. So now when the house feels like it's rebelling, I don't try to fix it all. I just go reset that one corner. Because sometimes your nervous system doesn't need a deep clean. It just needs somewhere calm to stand. And hey, if you want to make cleaning even easier, come back tomorrow. I'll be sharing some shockingly fast cleanup tricks that might just change how you tidy forever. You won't want to miss them. Ready for the next one? It's about why your laundry pile isn't a moral failure. Promise. Alright, let's move on to habit number 2. The one that finally shut up the laundry guilt. You ever walk past a pile of laundry sigh and think, why can't I just do it? Yup, been there. I used to think I was just lazy. Turns out I was just done, mentally, physically, emotionally. Folding socks was never going to happen on a day when I couldn't even decide what to eat. So I changed the question. Instead of, how do I do this properly? I started asking, what would make this feel lighter right now? And the answers? Oh, they were not glamorous. I'd scoop everything into one pile instead of sorting. Carry half a basket instead of the whole thing. Fold only the clothes I actually care about, not wrinkling. One day I just tossed the pajamas straight into the drawer, unfolded. And guess what, the laundry police didn't show up? But I did, with a little more energy left for things that mattered more than matching socks. Because the truth is, there's nothing noble about doing things the hard way when you're already running on empty. Next up, let's talk about that random pile of maybe someday items cluttering up your corners. It's time to stop negotiating with expired face masks. Okay, habit number 3 snuck up on me and saved me from the guilt pile. You know the one. That awkward little cluster of I might use this someday stuff. Not meaningful enough to keep. Not bad enough to toss, just there. A face serum you didn't like but feel guilty throwing away. A candle that smells like regret but was a gift. A phone charger that might work if you hold it at a 37-degree angle. That stuff. It's not sentimental, it's undecided. Here's what helped. I gave those items a temporary home, a not sure yet box. No pressure, no forced decisions. If something gave me even a flicker of hesitation in it went, I slapped a sticky note on it with the date and said, see you in a month. 30 days later, that mismatched mug, the expired tea I thought I might try again, still untouched. And suddenly it was easy to let them go. Not because I'd become ruthless, but because I'd given myself a grace period. Turns out you don't have to decide everything today. You just need a way to pause the mental load. Let's keep going because sometimes the smallest wins are the ones that stick. On to habit number 4. The one that reminded me a victory can be as small as one drawer. There were days I couldn't deal with the living room or the kitchen, or honestly, anything bigger than a shoebox. The idea of deep cleaning felt as realistic as hiking Everest in slippers, so I stopped aiming for clean. I aimed for done-ish. What helped, I let the tiniest efforts count. One drawer, one shelf, one app I finally deleted. No dramatics, no makeover montage, just small nudges that told my brain, you're not stuck. You moved. Like this one night I sat in bed and deleted 10 old screenshots. That's it. That was my big win. And weirdly, it felt amazing. Because even that little flicker of action reminded me I still had some say in how my space felt. We keep waiting for the perfect day to finally get organized. But maybe the magic is in choosing one drawer, one corner, and letting that be enough for now. Ready for the next shift. Let's talk about how being organized sometimes becomes its own trap. Alright, habit number 5 crept in during what I call my organizing Olympics phase. You know, when your house looks neat, labels, bins, color-coded shelves, but for some reason, it still makes you clench your jaw every time you open a cabinet. Yep, that was me. Everything had a home. I just didn't want to visit any of them. The real issue, I wasn't organizing stuff I loved. I was just rearranging things I didn't even need. Cute clutter is still clutter, just wearing matching baskets. What helped, I stopped asking, where should this go, and started asking, why am I keeping this? And that one tiny shift game changer. Case in point, I had a whole container of baking tools I used once during a brief cupcake era. There was even a mini blowtorch, which sounds fun, but mostly just made me nervous. I let the whole bin go, and poof, one less cabinet to strategically organize every month. Because here's the thing, a system won't save you from stuff you don't actually want. You don't need fancier storage. You need less to store. Let's move on, because the next habit is all about when your home reflects a version of yourself you don't even relate to anymore. Habit number 6 came with a quiet little question. Wait, do I even do this thing anymore? You ever open a drawer and realize half of what's in there belongs to a version of you from 5 years ago? That phase when you were definitely going to take up cake decorating, or camping, or Pilates. Except you didn't. And yet, the gear lingers, quietly eating space, quietly making you feel guilty. What helped, I gave myself permission to stop curating for fantasy me. I let go of maybe one day and started focusing on what actually fits my real current life. A real example, I had a drawer of fancy tea and accessories, strainers, tongs, even a glass teapot I bought thinking I'd host peaceful tea rituals. Reality, I microwave water in a mug and toss in a basic tea bag while answering emails. So I kept 2 teas I love and donated the rest. That drawer now holds exactly what I actually use. Letting go of who you thought you'd be isn't failure, it's self-respect. And now that we're being honest, what about the stuff we hold on to because it was expensive or still good? Yep, that's next. Habit number 7 was sneaky because the stuff wasn't broken, useless, or even ugly. It just wasn't helping anymore. You know those things you keep just because they're still fine. The storage bin with no lid, the third throw blanket, the cutting board shaped like a pineapple from a housewarming gift in 2016. There's nothing technically wrong with them, which makes them so much harder to part with. What helped, I stopped asking, is this still usable, and started asking, is this still useful to me? That shifted everything. A real life example, I had a perfectly good tote bag, sturdy neutral color, plenty of pockets. But every time I reached for it, I chose a different one. I didn't like it. It lived in my closet like a quiet obligation. So I donated it. And weirdly, it felt like reclaiming half a shelf and an inch of mental clarity. Just because something still works doesn't mean it's still working for you. And now that we've tackled still good, Let's look at something deeper, the stuff we keep, because it feels like part of who we used to be. Habit number 8 showed up in my closet, and also in my calendar, and maybe in my own expectations. It's the stuff you don't actually use, but keep just in case. The party dress for events you don't go to, the planner stickers for routines you never stick to, the fancy heels that scream career woman, even though you now work from home in socks. What helped? I got honest about what kind of life I actually want, not just what I feel I should be prepared for. That meant letting go of the items that belonged to a version of me I was trying to impress, but not trying to live as. A real moment, I had this elegant blazer I kept because everyone needs one good blazer. But here's the thing, I don't go to galas, I don't pitch to corporate boards, and every time I tried it on, I felt like I was wearing a costume, not clothes. So I gave it to someone who does live that life, and I gave myself back some shelf space and a little self-trust, because letting go of just in case is often the beginning of just as I am. And speaking of identity, let's talk about the emotional stuff, the quiet memories we keep in drawers. We've made it to number 9, and oh, this one's sneaky, the kind of clutter you don't see until it makes you feel guilty for opening a drawer. I used to keep every little memory item. Birthday cards, luggage tags, that random button from a concert I barely remember. If it had a whisper of meaning, I saved it. Not because I used it, but because I felt bad throwing it out. I stopped asking if something used to matter and started asking if it still does. There's a difference. Memories live in me, not in the moldy ticket stub I haven't looked at since 2008. I once saved a single dried flower from a trip I took in my 20s. I found it years later smashed in an envelope, completely forgotten. And instead of feeling nostalgic, I just felt done. So I let it go. And strangely, I felt closer to that version of me, not farther. Turns out you don't need to keep everything that made you feel something once. You just need to decide what still feels worth holding now. Up next, the final habit. And it's not about stuff, it's about finally needing less. And finally, habit number 10, the one that didn't feel like decluttering at first, but changed everything. I used to think I'd feel calm once I finished organizing everything. Once every bin had a label, every drawer had a system, and nothing was ever out of place. But honestly, the more I tried to keep up, the more I realized I was still trying to manage too much, just in prettier containers. What helped? I stopped aiming for done, and I started aiming for enough. Enough stuff, enough routines, enough expectations. A real shift. I let go of kitchen gadgets I didn't use, folded laundry, the lazy way, stopped trying to style every surface in the house. And the weirdest thing happened. My home didn't just get quieter. I did. Turns out peace doesn't come from doing more. It comes from wanting less. And that kind of calm, you don't organize your way into it. You release your way there. That's all for today. And maybe it wasn't life-changing. Maybe it was just one thought, one shift that helped you breathe a little easier in your own space. Because I know what it's like to look around and feel like everything is too much. And I also know how powerful it feels when just one corner finally feels calm. If anything in this video gave you that, even a little, I'm so glad you were here. And if you feel like letting me know a quiet like is more than enough, be gentle with yourself. Truly, you're doing better than you think.